Welcome to episode 6 of the reading of Michael McCoy's Garden. Apologies for the pops again. Open fires going again to make it pleasant in this room. It's freezing outside and it's nice and cozy in here, and I'm glad you could join me. The first of today's entries is dated the 26th of September 1997. The last 2 days I've received seeds in the mail. My wife throws the envelopes at me announcing, boring mail again, since there is nothing for her. I love seed packets. I shake them, I squeeze them until the seeds leave their impression on the paper packet. I start at the top of the pile and go through the packets one by one, then go through them a second time, then later in private, probably a third and a fourth. Most of them are old friends, like the climbing annual canary creeper, Tropiolum peregrinum, and Tithonium rotundifolia. Some are old antagonists that I've never been able to nurture to maturity, even if I can get them to germinate, like the moonflower or rhodochyton. And then there's the occasional packet that I can't think why I ordered. The optimism that always attends a pile of seed packets for me, as I imagine them in full and voluminous bloom, is quite laughable, having little basis in fact. Oh, do you hear that? It's this hollow log that I put on the open fire is just taken off and the flame is just shooting up the center of it like a jet. Anyway, back to it. The devastation of past failure, of the many, many barren seed pots due to excessive dry, wet, or the countless other possible problems is forgotten, like the pains of childbirth perhaps, in the glorious possibilities of the future. 30th of September 1997. Last week, while helping to fine-tune the planting of a very beautiful garden in Geelong, I went into the next phase of gardening greed. Every plant on which I laid eyes was evaluated, screened, then having passed the test, examined for its divisible and propagatable qualities. I came home with a car bootload and spent a part of the weekend potting up the divisions and the cuttings. There are cuttings of penstemons and argyranthemums, great clods of Tulbagia, a decent clump of Agapanthus campanulatus Isis, and some Pacific Coast iris of a particularly good caramel shade. They're now sitting outside a large window where I can watch their every move. It's really a bit sick. I always loved my plants, but looking back, I was like a football coach loving his team. Now, I'm more like a gushing grandparent. You know, I've always had really mixed success with seeds, and I think if you're a home gardener, you'll know what that feels like. I really would love to have been able to nail seed growing right at the start, but so much of it is about having the right equipment and having a good place for seeds to go once you've sown them. A place that's, not too sunny, not too shady, is not going to dry things too fast. I just long to have something like the cold frames or glass houses that are common in the gardens of England, but we don't, and our results are imperfect, but our optimism, so it would seem, never wavers. Anyway, thank you for joining us, and join us tomorrow for the next episode, for episode 7, in which I talk about my wavering commitment to all that digging. I decided I was going to double dig this entire gravel garden, and I lost my commitment and enthusiasm to that pretty fast. Anyway, tune in tomorrow and join me then.